Hey guys, Henry here, and today we're going to be talking about Disney Pixar's latest film, Onward, what I thought of the film, and whether I thought it was worth a watch. So Onward is directed by Dan Scanlon and produced by Kori Rae, the team behind Monsters University, and it follows the two elf brothers, Ian and Barley Lightfoot, played by Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, as they go on an adventure and a quest to find some magical artifact that can hopefully bring back their father, who they lost when they were very young, so that they can spend one day with him. At the core of this film is the relationship of Ian and Barley. You've got Ian, played by Tom Holland, who is just awkward and shy and generally afraid of the world. And then you've got Barley, who's a bit of a burnout, a bit of a dropkick, his future's not going anywhere, and he's completely obsessed with the magic that apparently used to exist in the world. And as they go on this quest together, they learn to appreciate each other more, and they learn more about each other. They learn to trust each other, and they learn to respect each other. And they also find out a little bit more about how the death of their father affected them. The bond between the two brothers and the emotional complexity that this brought to the film was definitely a classic Pixar element. But unfortunately, the plot of this film really weighed it down, and it sort of wasted that potential. The plot is basically just a scavenger hunt. They're just sending these guys from one point to the next, and then once they get to the next point, they have to go to another point. And then all at the same time, there's a big countdown, the clock's ticking. It just goes on and on like this. There was no complexity to the plot. It didn't feel smart or witty, and I felt like it didn't provide a good pairing for the relationship that they were actually able to bring to screen. And while I did enjoy Chris Pratt's performance, I did feel like Tom Holland was a little bit lacking. Chris Pratt's performance sort of cast a shadow over Tom Holland. Chris Pratt was more energetic, he had more fun, and Tom Holland's character was really timid. I get that's the character, but he wasn't really able to come out of his shell, and he was just so awkward. I just felt Chris Pratt's voice really lent to his character a lot better than Tom Holland's. In terms of Chris Pratt and Tom Holland being the leading names of this film, and this film being a Disney film, it really looks like they just saw the dynamic between Star-Lord and Spider-Man in the Marvel films, and they were like, look, maybe this looks pretty fun. You've got this charismatic guy who's funny and go-lucky, and you've got this sort of shy character who actually has some inner strength in Peter Parker. And I feel like they thought that's a perfect storm. We can put them together in some animation, we can push it out there and make bank of this. And it feels like that's what they might have done. It feels like they thought that, this pairing was really good. If they could put them together in a film ASAP, riding off the goodwill of Marvel Endgame, it's a pretty good bet. But unfortunately, I feel like the product they've made is just not up to typical Pixar standard. And you put that Pixar stamp on it, and people expect a certain standard. People expect to be crying. People expect to have a really complex plot, and people expect it to be really smart. People know that even though it's a children's film, an adult can watch it and with an adult's perspective just get something completely different out of it. And this film, from an adult perspective, I didn't feel like I got anything out of it. To me, it was just a really straightforward kids movie, and that's not what I expect out of Pixar. So I feel like maybe making this a Pixar film was shooting itself in the foot, because people, they want Pixar films to be really good. And because this one's really mediocre, it's just disappointing. And the setting of the film, it's in a fantasy world where centaurs, cyclopses, and elves exist. It's a world where magic used to exist but got phased out because people chose convenience. They chose technology over having to learn magic. And now people don't use magic and they take it for granted, and it's just phased out completely. And this feels like a direct commentary on society today. Us relying on convenience, wanting to use technology more over, expressing ourselves creatively or using our imagination. But the film doesn't say anything at all. It has this in the background. It's right there for them to comment on, but it's completely ignored. And I feel like it's really easy to compare this film to a film like Zootopia. It's an alternate reality where animals, and in this case, elves, centaurs, and cyclops and fantasy creatures and stuff, they exist in a society very similar to ours right now. And it's sort of seeing how their society would function if they were like ours. And Zootopia did it in a really interesting and fun way, really creative in how the animals would commingle, in how their transport systems work, and how their jobs work. But this film, it felt really lazy. It felt like they didn't really think about it that much. They really just plugged them into the human world. They live in a mushroom house because they're elves, and that's it. I didn't really think they took the extra effort to really build this world out, and I felt really disappointed by that. So yeah, this film, it's a Pixar movie technically, but it does not feel like it falls in the category of a typical Pixar film. The world building just fell well short. I mean, even in terms of the look of the animation, the big eyes that are typically in Pixar movies, I just didn't feel that at all. In fact, this felt more like a DreamWorks movie. It doesn't come anywhere close to Coco or Inside Out, two of Pixar's more recent films. And yeah, I just feel like this film was intended to be a bit of a cash grab, relying on these two big names and just whipping up a sort of mediocre story to go with it. And on top of that, I don't feel like Disney's really investing a lot of money into marketing this film. I don't feel like the marketing is anywhere near the other Pixar films, especially not like Toy Story 4 from last year. It seems like they don't really care about this film and they don't want to waste any more money. I think they know that this is probably going to bomb and they're not going to sink more cash into something that's not going to produce a return. So Onwards, it's not a bad movie. It's a fine movie, but it's because it's got the Pixar stamp on it. It says Pixar, and I expect some Pixar quality shit. And they didn't do that. And I feel like because of that, there's going to be slightly more negative reviews for this film. So is Onward worth a watch? No, it's not worth a watch. I'm waiting for Pixar's Soul. That's coming out in June. And that's going to be from Pete Docter, Pixar's creative director. So hopefully that will provide me with the dose of Pixar that I was hoping that this film would give me. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, please be sure to hit that like button and comment in the comment section down below. If you want to see more content from me, please be sure to subscribe. Thank you guys again, and I'll catch you guys next time.